Three words to start this episode. Pete Crow-Armstrong. The red-hot center fielder recently returned to Des Moines about a couple weeks ago, making the fireworks go off not just after the game, but during the game as well. But by the way the Cubs are looking right now, I'm pretty sure one of the top Cubs prospects needs to stay in Chicago. The Cubs are heavily slipping in their games and in the NL Central and need major stability. Would PCA help Chicago enough to stay there long term and help them back towards the top of the NL Central to knock off the Brewers for first place? All of this and more on today's Cornfield Sports Pod. Blake here, as always. Matt Menson is unfortunately out for this one since he's got a lot of work today and has given me the torch to go solo today. But I definitely got to talk about Pete Crow-Armstrong to start us off today, because as you guys know, I work at the Iowa Cubs and got to see this masterpiece of a sequence. But first, they're definitely slipping. They're slipping terribly right now. The Cubs are right now 28-29, knocked down to third in the NL Central. My Cubs friends are definitely in shambles right now. 0-2 with the St. Louis series since Game 1 was called off and postponed. Then went 1-3 in the Brewers series at American Family Field. But yeah, they've got work to do, and hopefully Pete Crow-Armstrong being called up can definitely stabilize this Cubs team, because my gosh. But I do want to talk about the Pete Crow-Armstrong sequence and what was the highlight of it. So last week, the Iowa Cubs had a series against Indianapolis. So I was working the Friday game, and I was directing. And you could see how this went for me. So let me talk about last week's cinematic sequence. So PCA goes up to bat in the fourth inning. The first pitch went below and right behind his legs. The second pitch went for his head. So two pitches went for him, and that upset the crowd in Des Moines. And then obviously coach comes out, Marty Pevy, the Iowa Cubs manager, comes out and absolutely rips the ump for not giving a warning to the pitcher. Even the announcer on the broadcast is like, "You have to warn him. You have to warn him." So Pevy gets ejected, obviously, because on the live stream it was bright as day that he was gonna get ejected, like just absolutely ripping him to shreds. Then afterwards, when a coach leaves the field, umps give both teams a warning, which yeah, even like I'll mention the announcer again. He's like, why are the I-Cubs getting a warning? They didn't do anything. It's like, yeah, I kind of agree with that because well, coach already got ejected, so that was kind of our penalty in that moment. And then I have to point out the PA announcer, absolute amazing plug. He's like, "Hey fans, this looks like a good time to let you know there's fireworks after the game," and just the crowd went crazy after that. They're just like, "Yeah." But yeah, I was like, I was in the room when it happened, like with the PA guy. I point to him. I'm like, "That was an amazing plug. Amazing plug. So glad you did that." Yep. And then very next pitch, PCA hits an absolute blast to right field. And I could tell from that stream that the headsets that the interns were on just absolutely blew up. Des Moines absolutely erupted. My boss got a little bit mad. I'm sorry, Matt. Sorry, Matt, for yelling in the mics. But no, that was an absolute cinematic experience, and such a pleasure to have directed that sequence. Shout out to camera crew for the amazing work in that sequence. I mean, we did get a lot of national attention across the MILB. Speaking of which, PCA was named International League Player of the Week, and for what he did, just trended all across the MILB. So I had to start off with that because it was an absolute masterpiece last week. Upcoming for the Cubs, they'll play series versus Cincinnati, where their chili is about the same quality as the team out east offense. But their game 2 will be on Fox, and they're currently playing game 1 right now. And then after that, Chicago will play a 2-game series against the south side of Chicago of the Poverty Sox. Let me see. Let's talk about the Brewers. They're definitely going. They're sitting high in the NL Central. They're doing very well. 33-23, coming after the 3-1 Chicago series win, and before that the 2-1 Boston series win. They're definitely staying strong at the top, especially after losing their manager and their best pitcher. Speaking of which, former Brewers manager, now Cubs manager Craig Counsell, comes back to American Family Field to a thank you video on the video board, topped off by an uproar of boos from the Brewers crowd. Guys, this was not the video to do at this point. Oh my gosh. You're just asking for embarrassment at this point. The Brewers crowd was absolutely immaculate at this point. They have every right to be booing this video board. But yeah, just absolutely asking for embarrassment at that moment. You cannot do that. Like do it right after. You have to do it right after your manager leaves, and then not embarrass yourselves in front of your rivals. No, you can't do that. After that, they will play a series against the White Sox, the Poverty Sox. Game 1 will be on ESPN Plus, and after that, they will be at the Phillies. Let's talk about Matt's Minnesota Twins. Currently 31-25, third in the AL Central, after going 2-1 against Texas and 3-1 against the Kansas City Royals. Game 4, I do got to talk about this one. Game 4, Carlos Correa had the go-ahead triple to clear the bases and blast past the Royals to take the series. Could not ask for a better ending there. Earlier in the year, he has missed some games due to injuring his right rib cage muscle, but this was such a way to bounce back. Yeah, definitely what the Twins need to help them inch up behind the Royals, and then go ahead in the AL Central down the road. But after that, they'll play next at Houston, and then next at the New York Yankees. With the Yankees series, Game 1 will be on TBS. Hey, Matt, this is your chance. You can finally watch the Twins. You can finally watch the Twins on TV. Let's go. After that, let's talk about the White Sox. The White Sox trash bin. Like, dude, we're gonna treat them like the Blackhawks. We're just not gonna give them a standing. They're just trash. Only won 15 games on the season and lost their last 8. Swept by Baltimore, swept by Toronto. Like, I can't take Chicago teams seriously. I mean, Cubs kind of, Bulls kind of, but Blackhawks, White Sox, Bears gives me every right to make fun of them. It's like, I can't take this seriously. But after that, they'll go to Milwaukee to embarrass themselves. Game 1 on ESPN Plus, and 2-game series at the good side of Chicago, as they'll face the Cubs there. Kansas City Royals, I'll probably keep this short. 2-1 against Tampa Bay, and 1-3 against Minnesota. Like we said, the Carlos Correa absolute bomb triple. Royals were in shambles at that point, definitely. After that, they'll go against San Diego and at Cleveland after the San Diego series. Game 3 against Cleveland will be on ESPN Plus. St. Louis Cardinals, 27-27, were able to blast past the Chicago Cubs. Perfect opportunity to go ahead of the Cubs while they're absolutely slipping in the standings. And kind of sucks that I can't make fun of the Cardinals anymore in front of my Cardinals interns at the Iowa Cubs. Well, but yeah. Cardinals are definitely going to get some national attention next at the Phillies. Game 2 will be on Fox, and Game 3 will be on ESPN2 against the Phillies. And then at Houston after that, Game 3 will be on ESPN+. So, lots going on in the MLB. We can turn it to the NBA. Depressing NBA moments after this week. The Minnesota Timberwolves had it coming, honestly. Dallas Mavericks will advance to the NBA Finals to face the Boston Celtics after defeating the Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1 in this series. Game 4, Ant-Man was able to force a Game 5, but honestly, that won't be enough. But apparently, that post-game locker room speech last week that I mentioned, honestly didn't work for crap. Speaking of Ant-Man, he did come in with 28 points, 10 for 18 for shooting. He did speak after the game with the post-game conference, definitely implying that they're still hungry. Quote, "It's a lot for our guys. First time being in this light, especially me. It's my first time. But we'll be ready, man. We'll be all right. First time. Took a loss. Congratulations to the Mavericks, but we'll be back. We'll be all right." So, unfortunately, this will end our NBA coverage for this season until the fall. So we will be back with our Timberwolves news, Bucks, and Bulls come this fall. And Matt Metz will be on back on the mic. So we'll get a lot for that. But we'll keep you posted on next season as the season is over for the Timberwolves. Do got a few Cyclone sports news. First, I wanted to talk about George Strait reflection. The George Strait concert at Jack Trice Stadium, massive success for what I saw. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there as I was working at the Iowa Cubs. Firstly, the atmosphere, obviously, just like a football game. Like how could it not be? All that you could ask for from tailgating. Whenever I got home, I can hear the concert from my apartment. It just needs to happen more often. We need more concerts in Jack Trice. I kept pushing on this on Twitter, definitely. The traffic, though, it was unbearable for what I saw. My drive was perfect down to the Iowa Cubs, but what I saw coming into Ames was an absolute nightmare. There was a crash on Highway 30. Just coming into Ames, like going through Ames. So that had that road backed up for a little while. And then I made my way towards outside of Ames. And then on the other side of the interstate, there was a crash. And then there were cars backed up from Ames almost all the way to Ankeny. I can't make this up. It's like, oy. I would just hate to be in that crowd for many, many reasons. But from what I saw, the pictures, it was an absolute immaculate atmosphere. Especially the beer sales. Beer was actually sold in Jack Trice, and the lines were reported to be around 40 minutes long. And it's like it's honestly kind of a shame, but that this is one of the only times beer is sold in the stadium. But obviously, our athletic director Jamie Pollard does have his reasons for like staying off alcohol sales for athletic events. But yeah, I definitely see the reasons behind it. So there's that. But obviously, it's going to anger a lot of fans. But there's nothing we could do about it. So that was a unique experience for Cyclone fans. But speaking of football, we got our first few games on what networks they'll air on. So first game of the season, North Dakota will air on FS1 Cyhawk. This one will air on CBS. This will be the second time in history that Iowa State will play on CBS, as the Big Ten have their contract and TV agreements with CBS. So major dub there. We'll get a lot of eyes on that one. Arkansas State will air on Big 12 Now and ESPN Plus, and that is the slate as of now. News did come out today on EA Sports College Football. There was a new gameplay trailer where Iowa State finally got some shots and some gameplays. So the gameplay was of us playing at Kansas at Booth Memorial Stadium, which honestly it's really inaccurate right now because Booth Memorial Stadium is currently demolished right now. So I can't say that's an accurate representation. I also can't say that what else isn't an inaccurate representation is Iowa State still having the old jerseys in the gameplay. So the old jerseys designs, like there's no shoulder stripes, and you can't see the updated designs. It's the old designs from last year and years prior. But I wonder if this is the case where you're able to switch out your jerseys because you should have like a pretty big jersey selection, especially in the college game. But I think Matt is definitely hoping for the Stormtrooper design. But yeah, Iowa State was also done dirty and into play by Kansas's offense because they represented Will McLaughlin. Will McLaughlin was seen missing a tackle in the gameplay trailer. I'm sorry, it's like that would just never happen in real life. I hate to say it. I mean, sorry, Kansas fans, for if you have to listen to that, but yeah, that would never happen. Got some Iowa State wrestling news to close out. Paniro Johnson will regain eligibility from the NCAA, coming from the Iowa DCI's Geoforce investigation and how that crumbled to the ground. So the 2023-24 season will be used as Paniro's redshirt year. And during the Iowa Cyclone Tailgate Tour, Coach Kevin Dresser did say this in Des Moines. Like he did announce this prior. He's like we got to Paniro Johnson. He'll be coming back with full eligibility and probably a fat check from the state of Iowa. And then goes on to say, yeah, that whole gambling probe is BS, 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 BS. Just kept on repeating it, and that got the crowd fired up. So you know what else is BS, BS, BS? If you don't follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter, yep, I'm going out like that. So follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter or make Matt Menson sad. You can follow the Cornfield Sports Pod at C Sports Pod. You can find me, Blake, at Blake Attack 1846. You can find Matt at Say Farm Again Matt ISU. So the Twitter handle will be SFMattISU. You tap that follow button on Spotify or that plus button on Apple. Subscribe on YouTube and Rundle and hit that notification bell because I know you like notifications. This has been Blake Peterson, and this has been the Cornfield Sports Pod. Take care.